and welcome back to Dundee Road. Today I'm going to be scratch building another building. When I'm deciding what buildings I'm going to go and scratch build, I tend to look around and see if there's anything interesting that I could replicate. Now, there are lots of buildings which are the same and repetitive and are everywhere, but when I'm putting a building on, I want it to be a little bit unique. I want it to fit, but I want it to be interesting. And this is one which is interesting. The fact that it's a gym is a bit boring, but the actual building itself is interesting. So the good thing about this building is I can see it in different states. I can see it all the way through the era that I'm modelling, and I can see that previously it was two businesses. It was Dreams and Riley's Snooker Hall, and then once Dreams moved out, we still had a snooker hall. We had Donny's Carpets, and they were there for a while. Signs came down, and then it moved to pure gym. So we can see this, we can see lots of things, and we can get lots of ideas from this. The other good thing is I can actually walk around the building. It's completely freestanding. So it doesn't matter where I put it. I will have all four sides, or 3 1/4 sides almost, because this building actually has a curved corner. And that's what makes this one interesting, because the brick is actually curving round. And the stonework all curved round. That's what's going to make this a little easier to do. It's not like a building which has got lots of little flat faces that make it look like it's curved. It is actually curved. So to start this, I pick a side and I start working it out. Now, I'm not going to recreate the entire building as it is in complete scale. It will be a stylized building and it will be smaller. I'm not going to have the entire length. I'm going to take it back from this line, 4 bays. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So that the end of that line is going to be the end of the building. Effectively cutting out these 5 bays here. And I need to do that for space. I don't have unlimited space. If I could have unlimited space, I would probably build the rest of the building. I could even build it as a module. As we saw, the building itself did have 2 uses in a previous life. So cutting off here, I could theoretically make another business take this part of the building. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get a bit of paper and I'm going to start sketching out roughly what I'm going to do. I'll start with its footprint, and from there we can start working out how wide these columns are going to be, how tall the windows are going to be. And then once I come back to the computer, we'll start drawing it out in a graphics package. So to start off with, I've just got a plain piece of paper. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a baseline. So that baseline just gives me something to work from and work to. So we know that we've got a 90-degree corner. At this side. And we know we don't have a 90-degree corner at this end. This is the complicated end. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put in my 4 bays. So I think that for ease of building, I'm going to make my pillars for the windows 1 centimetre. And then each window bay, and this building is nice because everything is the same measurements. So again, while looking for a building I can scratch build, I'm looking for something that I can actually build. Not something which is going to cause me lots of headaches while building. So that's 1, 2, 3. And so this is entranceway. And then window. So we've got 3 windows, the entrance, and then this is the curve. Now, from what I can see, and working out a rough guide, from this point to this point is a rough depth. I mean, the good thing about this building is that the windows are also all open, so I've been able to see in and see roughly how things look inside. So by doing that, we've got and this is the tricky bit, is creating a curve that doesn't have a point on it. But this will be easier in the cardboard because this point will be all supported. Right. So what I'm doing here is I'm just coming up with rough measurements for everything. And then on this, I'm going to have another 4 windows to keep it the same. And this wall will also have 4 windows, and then this wall will close it off. So now that I've done this, I know where all my guidelines are going to go for the base. So essentially I've got my foundations. So now I need an elevation. And again, I start off just with a baseline, just to give me something to go with. And then I'm going to start. And this time I'll also put a top line in. Done something wrong somewhere. Right, so now I can create the vertical alignment that we're going to have in the building. This is very much a measure twice, cut once approach. I could have gone straight to the computer and started drawing this out without doing any of this. But I want it to look right, I want it to look in scale, and I want to be able to build it quite quickly and easily. I'd rather spend the time admiring it than thinking, oh, that took me ages. So we've got bay 1, 2, 3, and then the door bay, and then we've got a slight extra bit. So the next thing we need to do is start putting on details that we know that we've got. So I'm going to start with the door, because the door is going to give me my rough height of my windows, and I'm going with 36 millimeters. Because it divides by 4 quite nicely. And again, that gives me the top. Now, because I'm on paper, it's very difficult to do this next measurement. This next measurement is 2.5 millimeters. So all I'm going to do is just roughly put that in. So that's just the little strip above the windows. And below I'm going to go 5 millimeters. And you see, I'm just putting these lines across everything. These are just guidelines. These are just going to allow me to draw the elements and to place the textures where they need to go. So the next is the brick layer under the first story window. And then the first story windows themselves. I think that's too big, so and that makes that look a bit big as well. I'll put the line on and see. I think I might work back from this line and go down with the stripe. So we've got windows, door, and then brick. And the other good thing about this building is all the way around it is virtually the same. So once I've got the grid lines set up, I'll be able to draw the different window types. Fairly easily and quickly. And you see, even though I've scaled this building down, it is still quite a substantial building. I think the Metcalfe Cinema is probably about that wide. So once the curve's in, it's probably going to be as wide as the Metcalfe Cinema. And then we've got windows. And then the roof will go on at a later point. I'm probably going to cheat and put a flat roof on. Because the roof is quite complicated and I'm not sure how I'm going to get the curve. So there we go, I've now got all my measurements. So once I've set up all my grid lines, I can then start placing textures down. The way I'm going to do this is I'm going to work from the wall, a flat wall, and then things which go on top of the wall will be added, and things which are behind the wall will be added. So essentially the first skin that I'm going to do is going to be the brick layer. Everything else after that, the windows, the little shield thing that's on the wall, the signs, they'll all come out, and all the window ledges, and the windows will go behind, inside. And that'll be more important when it comes to the curve, because the windows there sit back slightly more than they do on the rest of the building. So I'll take you back to the computer and I'll show you how I turn this into an actual drawing that I can print out. So as you can see, it doesn't look like much has changed, but I've done a lot of work with white boxes. And I've also put in a representation of what would have been a high bay door at some point. So now I need to go and get the textures that are going to go on this and make it actually look like a building. And that's why I've done lots of white boxes, because the white boxes are going to sit in front of the texture and they're going to create the box that I will cut out. Right. So now I've got my brick texture, which is big enough to go across. Now I've got my brick texture, which is big enough to go across my entire drawing. I'm going to place it over, making sure that pretty much everything lines up. And then we're going to select, and then we're going to arrange and send to the back. Why aren't you sending to the back? So now everything's been sent to the back. We can see that all the white boxes that we put in now all make sense. And we have our brick where our brick's meant to be, and we have our windows where our windows are meant to be. And because I copied and pasted a lot of stuff, I can very quickly add that to this wall as well. And then we can just fix any little issues. Now, although I've put brick on the ground floor, as we've seen from the prototype, it was painted. So it's likely that I'm going to paint up until a certain point on here. And then we've also got enough brick texture to do the back wall. Although the brick does change on the prototype, I am going to just use the same brick all the way around for this one. It's likely that that wall is not going to be seen. So I've just got the front wall to do now, and then I will bring you back once we've got this ready. So now I've got these printed and I've left them to dry for a while because, as I say, they do put down a fair amount of ink. And if anyone can notice the mistake I made, please put it in the comments below. I have fixed it. So I now have 3 of my 4 walls ready to be glued onto their grey board. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to cut down some of the extra. And then that will just give me the most efficient way of putting it onto the cardboard. I could have designed it so that it fit neatly into a sheet, but I wanted the scale to be right rather than have to compromise. To fit it onto the cardboard. And now you see the importance of the few black lines that I put on. They just give me my cut line. So that's the front wall. So I'll leave that one on so it gives me something to match up to. And this is our curved wall. So there we go, that's the 3 walls that I have printed out now. And I get my trusty grey board. As I say, I haven't limited myself to the width of a board or the height of a board, because I could have made it so that each wall panel was one piece of cardboard. But these bits will get used elsewhere because I'll need strips to do these. I'll need extra little bits to make the windows. So I'm not going to waste any of this card. So now we're back to gluing this down. Want to get good coverage on this because essentially the only bits which are going to be left are the brick bits. And I want this to be nice and stuck and nice and flat. So I am trying to be careful where I place it so that I do have as much extra as possible. just trying not to get any of the glue on the front, which is why I use a Pritt stick, because it's a solid glue stick. The last one here, which is our curved wall. Press it down. Right, so we'll now leave them to dry, and then it'll be on to the cutting out of all the pieces. It's another nice warm day, so hopefully that glue shouldn't take too long to dry, but we'll give it maybe an hour to actually dry. Before I start dealing with the inside of the building, I think it would be good to start the painting and make sure that all the walls are the colour that they're meant to be. So I'm just going to use the cardboard as the base, and then I'll just use an acrylic white paint to make it look like the walls of the building are actually painted. So I've just got a basic acrylic paint. It's a nice warm day, so I'm hoping that this is going to dry quite quickly. It is absolutely soaking into this cardboard, which might cause me problems with my curve. So I'll just do a light coat of paint to start with. Some of this detail won't actually be seen, but the way that the building will be constructed, if at a later point I want to add more detail, I'll be able to take the internal parts out and put the extra detail in. So that's as much as I'm going to paint at the moment. And the fact we've got a bit of white paint on the bottom doesn't matter because it's going to be painted up anyway. So I'll let that paint dry and keep it in its curve while it's drying, and then I'll put another layer on.
Before I start dealing with the inside of the building, I think it would be good to start the painting and make sure that all the walls are the colour that they're meant to be. So I'm just going to use the cardboard as the base, and then I'll just use an acrylic white paint to make it look like the walls of the building are actually painted. So I've just got a basic acrylic paint. It's a nice warm day, so I'm hoping that this is going to dry quite quickly. It is absolutely soaking into this cardboard, which might cause me problems with my curve. So I'll just do a light coat of paint to start with. Some of this detail won't actually be seen, but the way that the building will be constructed, if at a later point I want to add more detail, I'll be able to take the internal parts out and put the extra detail in. So that's as much as I'm going to paint at the moment. And the fact we've got a bit of white paint on the bottom doesn't matter because it's going to be painted up anyway. So I'll let that paint dry and keep it in its curve while it's drying, and then I'll put another layer on.
Now that the inside is painted on the ground floor, I'm going to insert the first floor, which I have just made from some packaging and painted it the colour of the roof. And as you can see, it's going to fit in and then help hold the shape of the building. So it's a very warm day here today, so I'm hoping that this is going to dry quite quickly and I can actually now sit it up to get it to dry. So I've used a slightly thicker card here. This is packaging card, which will hopefully give this some strength and some resilience. And I'm not going to go too far around with the glue just now. I just want to get it sitting nicely in position, and then pull the card onto it, and this will help it keep its shape. And make it nice and firm. As I said, this building isn't going to be the easiest to build, but it's got a nice shape to it that would be interesting and different to some of the kits that are out there. So my plan is just to hold this until it grabs, and then once it's grabbed, then I'll start gluing around the rest. And I'll bring you back once it's all glued.